Hi, I'm Callum from Tyne Valley Motorhomes, and this is the handover of a Swift Escape 674. So starting the walk around on the driver's side of the motorhome first. This is the first point you get to, which is your mains connection point. So this is where you'd hook the motorhome up if you are charging it at home before you go away, or if you were on a site with electric. So you get your hooker blade, lift the collar on the hooker blade, lift the flap on the van and hook the motorhome up. Hook the van up first, then the sight, and do it in reverse order when unhooking the vehicle so that you're never walking around with a live lead in your hand. Here you've got your water, so this is your fresh water intake. So again, go and buy yourself a hose pipe with some hose pipe connections, as it's mainly just a brass tap on site. Using the Swift key, this is a lockable cap. Take it off, put the flat end of the hose in the van, fill it until it either overflows or until you look on your control panel and see how much water you've got on board. Should you not be able to get it anywhere near a hose pipe, what you can do is there's a little power point next to it for a 12-volt submersible pump. So you put your pins in there, flat end of the pump in there, and then the pump into the water, and it'll suck the water from the bucket aqua roller container into the main freshwater tank. That's more for wild camping if you are bringing water to the motorhome. Underneath you've got your wastewater drain, so this is anything that you've drained off via a plug hole, so sink, hand basin, shower water. On the way out of your site there's normally a grid in the floor which you drive next to, and this is an electronic dump valve. So what you can do is you can open it from inside on the panel and it'll drain off your wastewater. Remember, in the winter you want this fully drained off. If the van's sitting, no water should sit in the motorhome when not in use, as it could freeze. So that would be one of the points you'd want to drain off. Moving further along, you do have your cassette locker. So push both in, drop the door, and then to get the cassette out, you'd lift the orange handle, slide the cassette box out of the motorhome. You can either carry it or you can drag it, depending on how heavy it is. Take it to your waste disposal point, which is normally beside your toilet block, and then to empty, all you need to do is remove the grey cap, press the orange button at the back and tip the content of the cassette out. Once you've emptied it, there's normally a tap there, so you put some water in, give it a rinse, tip out again before you go in with a cap full of liquid, which is 120 ml, into here, and then you can put the cassette back into the van and use the toilet. Fridge vents, boiler flue at the back, so this just gives the location of the boiler on the vehicle, so it's in the back lounge. That's where you'll find the boiler underneath the bench. High level brake light, reversing cameras, fuel bike rack rails. So if you ever wanted a bike rack fitted to here, this is where the back panel's been strengthened to take the weight of bikes. So you get a fuel bike rack to go on there. Parking sensors along the bottom, you've got 4 along the back panel. Storage in here, so you can see that you've got, this is your U-shaped lounge storage area. So you've got your table leg here and your on and winding handle, and you've got some storage from the outside. Next you've got your gas, so this is your gas locker. So this holds 2 6-kilogram propane gas bottles, and all your locks open with the Swift key. Press both locks in and you can fit 2 bottles in, like I've said. So you can fit one at the front where we've got our test bottle here now, and you can fit one at the back. So when you put the bottle on, the first thing you want to do is put the straps on the bottle. So it needs to go like this. So this grey plastic part goes below the valve for the bottle, then it straps down and tightens up into here. That allows the bottle to be safe and secure when it's on board the vehicle. Then what you need to do is you need to connect this pipe here, which is known as the pigtail. So using a spanner like this or an adjustable wrench, you would first of all hand tighten, and it's the left hand thread, so until it's hand tight, and then you want to nip it up. So you nip it up, turn the bottle on, press this green button which allows the gas through the crash valve for approximately 5 seconds in the vehicle, and then go and test that you've got gas. If you still haven't got gas, then you've got one more button to press. You don't need to press this button all the time, but from time to time you may have to, and it's this one here, this green button. Press and hold it for 5 seconds and it'll reset the crash valve, which it tells you on there, and that is that on the regulator. Make sure your bottle's turned off before you leave your site so that you're nice and safe and secure when you're travelling. External 240 volt socket, so if you wanted power in your awning, you've got a socket there to plug an extension into. Awning light, fuel omnister awning, which we can show you on collection how that works. Your door is lockable with the key, so it's up to lock, down to open on the Habitation door. To fill with fuel, passenger door, it's a lockable diesel cap. You put your key in, turn it, fill with diesel, push it in, turn it back and release your key. Tyre pressures are on here, so it's 5.5 bar or 79.5 psi on the front and rear tyres. But you do have a toolkit underneath your passenger seat, so that includes a jack and a brace and a tonai. And then underneath the carpet here, you've got this section in the floor. That's where the engine battery lives. So if you ever need to put a charger on or replenish the battery, it is in the cab floor, not under the bonnet. Bonnet release is here. Fluids are all to the left hand side, so you've got your brake fluid, coolant and power steering fluid. This does lift off to fill those two. And then in the side you do have your screen wash, which is the main one you're going to need. Engine oil and dipstick for filling the engine and checking the levels of oil. Paint code, which is 249. Weight plate, and then for giving or receiving a jump start, you'd earth off here, which is this one here, between the fuse board and the back of the headlight. Put your key in or a screwdriver and lift this cover up, and that is your positive for giving or receiving a jump start. And this is your fresh water drain just underneath your cassette locker. So you drain your fresh water off if you've taken on contaminated water, or you would drain it down for the winter. Again, press the button on board and this will drain out, and this is your fresh water drain. So now on board the vehicle, above the Habitation door, you've got your main Swift control panel. So you can turn on and off by pressing the Swift logo, which is your 12 volt master switch on and off. So if you're hooked up, you'll get mains 240 volt. If you're not, you'll just get 12 volt. And here you can see that you are hooked up, so you've got your energy symbol, which means it's on mains power and it's charging the leisure battery. And you can view both battery levels there, but I'll show you how else you can view them. So starting off from the left hand side, you've got your pump, so you can turn your pump on and off should you have enough water on board, and you need to have your pump on to operate your taps, toilet, shower and external shower. So that'll pressurize the water through the system when turned on. If it isn't turned on, you'll just get whatever's left in the lines and it'll soon fade away. Next you do have your awning light, which is the light on the outside of the motorhome. And then you've got your lights that are on the inside of the motorhome. So you've got your dimmer levels, the dimmer 1 and dimmer 2, so you can set them, change them, and you can turn them on and off. And then they all are individually switched around the vehicle. You've got power, so you can view your leisure battery reading, and you can see it's charging as it's got the charging symbol. Take the hookup out to get a true reading of your batteries, as on hookup it will give a false reading because your charger's then putting more power in. You've got your solar panel, which will go to sleep when the vehicle is hooked up, because hookup's bringing in a bigger voltage that the solar panel can't compete with. And then you've got your vehicle battery here as well. And you always want to make sure that your selected battery is your leisure. If that's ever your vehicle, change it back to your leisure, because then the motorhome is running off the van battery and not the leisure battery, which the leisure battery is designed to work the habitation area. You've got your water levels, so you can see that we've got 50% fresh water, 0 waste. And then down here you've got a few buttons. So you've got tank heaters, which you can turn on and off, so they'll put current through the water if it's potentially going to freeze overnight. You'd want to pop them on just so that the water does not freeze once the temperatures drop to sub-0 degrees overnight. The water isn't going to be frozen when you walk up. You've got level alerts, so once that goes so far down, it will beep the panel just to say it's time to refill, or when the waste is full, it's time to empty the waste. And you've got frost alerts, so when the control panel notices that it's dropped in temperature outside, it will give you a frost alert, which means that you either need to empty the water or you need to put your tank heaters on so that the water doesn't freeze. And then the last two buttons, you've got empty the fresh, confirm you want to empty it, empty the waste, confirm you want to empty that. And they are just 12-volt electric dumps on the waste and the fresh. You've got heating, which is through this panel here, but you can operate it through here, so you can adjust your temperature on here, and you can choose the energy. So you've got gas and electric, gas and electric on 2 kilowatts. So the 2 just means 1500 watts of electric, and gas, which is equivalent to 2 kilowatts and gas. And then you've got electric on 750 watts, 1 kilowatt, and electric on 1500 watts, 2 kilowatts. You can turn your water on and off, eco, hot or boost. So eco is 40 degrees and hot is 60 degrees if you're heating your water through there. But I'll show you how to do it through here, because you'll probably never use this way, you'll probably use it this way. You've got your radio, so you can turn your radio on from here. Once you've turned the radio on by itself, you can then operate it from the panel. And then you've got the fridge. So you've got your temperature of the fridge, 5 being the coldest. And you've got the mode of the fridge. So you've got off if you want the fridge off. You've got auto, which means it'll skip between these 3 sources here. So gas, 12 volt, 230 volt. So whatever it's got to offer, automatic on the auto will switch between it. So if you're hooked up and you've got your gas open, it'll go to hook up because it knows not to waste your gas. If you start the engine, it'll go to 12 volt, and all that does is changes the fridge into a cool box to keep the temperature the same. So you've got to pre-chill it beforehand at home, or if you've been to one site and you're ready to travel to another, if it's on auto and you've turned the engine on, it'll automatically go to 12 volt and keep your shopping nice and fresh until you arrive at your next site. Or if you stop the engine, it'll go to gas. But please note, when the engine's switched off, it waits 20 minutes before lighting on gas, so you might just have to manually come in and just press gas. And you'd use gas if you were wild camping and had no other energy source available. But just leave it on auto, it'll do its own thing. But make sure that you turn it off, and then when you are finished with the fridge, just leave the door open to stop any mold and bacteria from forming in the fridge when not using the vehicle after you've cleaned it out. To operate your Truma CP control panel, so you press and hold, a long press and hold to turn on and off the panel. If you press, you can get into the menu, and you'll notice in the top left hand corner you've got a motorhome with a thermometer. I know on the picture it looks like it's flickering, it's not, it's just this camera. So you can adjust the temperature of the vehicle from off all the way to 30 degrees, and that's the heat inside the motorhome. And then moving on, you've got your water, so make sure that your boiler's closed and you do have water on board. You can turn it from off to eco, which is 40 degrees of heat in that 10 litre water container in your boiler. Hot, 60 degrees, and boost, which will turn off the heating and prioritise the water first. So we'll just say hot, 60 degrees of heat in your water. And then you've got your energy source, so whether it's gas if you're wild camping and you had no other means of heating the vehicle or the water. Mixture 1, which is 750 watts of electric and gas together. Mixture 2, which is 1500 watts of electric and gas together. So you'd use mix 2 in the winter when you're in desperate need of heating the water or heating the vehicle, so that you're not sitting in a cold vehicle. And you'd use that for the first 10-15 minutes, and then you want to turn it off mixture 2 because you wouldn't want to waste your gas any longer. And put it onto, you can put it onto electric. So you've got EL1, which is 750 watts of electric, and EL2, which is 1500 watts of electric. So normally on most sites you just use EL2, depending on what the amperage the site gives you. Press enter to save that, as you don't want to waste your gas. If you've paid for your site fees, use their electric. In the top right you've got the fan speed, so you've got eco, high or boost. So eco takes a smaller 12 volt feed and is a lot quieter on an evening if you're trying to sleep. High obviously uses a little bit more fan speed, so it's a little bit more louder, but it'll get the circulation of the heat around the van a lot quicker. And then boost is just flat out on the fan speed, the max it can be at, and it'll boost the heat around the vehicle. So for this we'll just say high, and then you do have a timer, so you can time it to come on and off. When the clocks go back and forth you can adjust the time. And then should you get a warning triangle in the middle, you can go to the spanner setting in the bottom, which is your settings. Go to reset, press preset, and it will reset this control panel. And then you'll also notice that you've got your electric bed drop down switch here, so make sure that the key's turned on, and then you can bring the bed up and down, but make sure the seat belt is disconnected before you do press the switch, otherwise the switch won't work, because this is a safety cutout. And then before you travel, clip it back in so that the bed has a second catch on the seat belt for safety. To assemble the bed using the table, first of all you need to move all the cushions off, and then you'll be able to push the table down, which is just bearing your weight in the middle of the table. It'll go into the space, and then if you look under here there's a bar, so you want to slide that bar towards the passenger side of the van, The table will pop back up, but only so much. All you need to do is then give it a good click down into place. Like there. So give it a good push down, make sure it clicks. That'll stay into position. Then you would fold these two boards over. Obviously, if you do have passengers in here using it as a seat, you'd fold that back so they have space for the footwell. So they'd both go over like that. This board will go on here like there, and that would form the base of it. So once I put the cushions on, I'll come back to you and show you how the cushions go and how it makes the double bed at the front. And then this is how your cushions assemble to make the bed. So you'd pull all your base cushions forward and your backrests will go in the back. Same with this side, base cushions forward, backrests in the back. There's a few that don't get used. And then you get your infill cushion, which can be found in the wardrobe. Place that in the middle, and there you've formed your large double bed at the front of the motorhome. So above you do have your drop down bed, which is a manual drop down bed. It isn't electronic, so there's no switch. But this is your button for releasing the bed. So push it in, pull the bed down. Then you've got a ladder which is underneath the bed, which clips on here. And you can have access to the bed. Straps in the corners for these safety nets if you're putting children up there. But once you finish with it, just press the button in, push it up all the way like so, and that's it, tucked back away. But when you winterize in the van, it's always good if you leave the bed down a little bit. Keeps circulation of air around the mattress, and it stops mold and the mattress getting any damp spots on it by allowing the air to circulate around the mattress. In the kitchen area, you do have 3 gas burners. So there you are, there's all 3 lit. Once you've had the hobs on, if you do, just allow them to cool down so that they're cool enough to place your hand upon until you put the glass lid down. Otherwise, there is a chance that you could shatter the glass lid. And underneath, you've got a grill. And underneath the grill, you do have your oven. Storage drawers and a compartment underneath. Concertina door, drainer there, as well as sink cover that's on the sink at the moment. Slide out cutlery tray, storage, and then you do have 3 gas taps. So you've got the water heater one, which is the red one, the blue one, which is the fridge, and the green one, which is your hob, grill and oven combination. So any problems with gas, turn the bottle off, but you can't isolate each appliance here should you need to. But these are mainly for when the vehicle is annually serviced. Above, this is your kitchen light, 2 sockets there with a space for the wire to come up, kitchen roll holder, plates and cup rack, as well as a socket for the microwave, which is just up here, so you can isolate that, which is an 800 watt mains microwave, should you ever need to. To operate your fridge, this is a Dometic fridge with freezer compartment. So to turn it on and off, you just press and hold here. This is a flush panel, so just push your finger on it and it'll turn it on. And what you want to do is you want to change the source here. So you want to put it on auto. And what auto does is, the brain of the fridge picks out the best source that you have available at any one time. So at the moment we're hooked up and we've got a gas bottle on, but it knows not to waste gas, so you can see there it's on hookup, which is a picture of the plug. If I was to take the hookup out, it would switch over to the gas, which is this one here, and self-ignite. And then if I was to start the engine, it would switch over to the battery, which is only designed to keep the temperature of the fridge what it was previously set at. So if you're lucky enough to keep this at home a few days before, you'll want to hook it up. That'll give you good enough time to charge your leisure battery. But it'll also mean that you can put your fridge on, cool it down to temperature. The night before, you can load your shopping into your fridge, allow that to chill, and then when you're ready to drive off, you just got to start the engine, unhook the van, and it'll go over the battery, drive to your site, hook the van back up or go on to gas, and your shopping will stay nice and fresh and edible. Please note with the gas, it does wait 20 minutes before lighting on gas once the engine's been knocked off, in case you forgot to isolate your bottle and you've pulled into a petrol forecourt for diesel. The last thing you want is the fridge to be sparking near naked fumes. So what you've got to do is just manually change it over, which is this one here, and select gas for the first 20 minutes, and then it'll sort itself out and you can turn it back to auto. This light's on here because the door's open, just a warning light that the door's open. And then this is your temperature gauge, so you can, this is cool to max cold setting. So have it on max cold setting when pre-chilling. Once you put your shopping in, just turn it down to min 3 or 4 maximum, otherwise you can freeze your shopping. And then remember, what you want to do is you want to give this a good wipe out with some antibacterial wipes and sprays, and then you want to leave the door ajar because it's got a rubber seal on it. It'll form an airtight seal and potentially cause the motorhome to smell because it will trap the air in the fridge. So what you can do is you can pull this out like that and rest the door upon it once you've turned it off. Obviously it's loose, allows air circulation in and out of the fridge. At the back of the van you've got your large U-shaped lounge, but to make the bed, what you've got to do is loosen the toggle off, slide this out, which is your section of your lats, but go steady with this, otherwise your lats can sometimes fall through and you've got to then adjust them all and get them back. So just go nice and steady, slide it out. It'll hit the stopper first, and then what you want to do is you want to slide it above and keep sliding it out until you hit the other side of the stopper. That'll stop this from moving when the bed's made. And then all you need to do is backrests into here, slide these forward, the base cushion, and there it's formed your large double bed. Obviously you can put them at the back if you want them at the back. It's entirely up to you. You can either bring base cushions forward or backrests in the middle. It's entirely up to yourselves, but it does form a large double bed at the back, more like a king. If you move these at the back, you've got a large space on the makeup of the bed. In the back corner of the lounge, if you remove the cushion and this section which sits on top of the boiler, this is your boiler. So in the winter it's very important that you drain this off because it holds 10 litres of water. So to drain the 10 litres off, this yellow toggle just down here, which is lying down, you need to stand it up on end. So you need to just lift it up like that, leave it stood up during the time that you're not using the van. Drain this one off first, then you'd open your freshen your waste off your control panel because it's electronic dumps on this motorhome. Open all your taps within the van as it'll stop any water from sitting in any pipe works and causing any airlocks. and then you can leave the van either stood on the drive, not in use, or in the storage yard, and you don't have to worry about frost damage because you've drained off the water from the boiler, from the fresh and the waste water tanks, and you've opened your taps. When you come back to using the motorhome, first thing you'll want to do is lie the tap back down like so. You'd want to then make sure that the fresh and the waste tanks are closed so that you can go and put a hose pipe in the side of the van and fill it with water. Then you want to shut all the inside taps. Once you've done that, you can turn your control panel on and it'll show a full tank of water. Put the pump on and go at the cold side of the tap first. You'll get a pressurized flow of cold water straight away. Start turning it to the hot side, it'll cough splutter because it's starting to fill this from the freshwater tank, which is your boiler, until you get a pressurized flow from the hot side. This is when you know that your boiler's now full, so now you can continue to heat the water. But remember, drain these off because they're not covered under warranty, and there can be a very costly mistake to make if you don't. And you do it by lifting that yellow toggle up, which is your drain down valve. In your washroom, you've got your shower curtain there which comes across and it'll block off the toilet when you're having a shower from getting wet. Toiletry cabinet. And with the pumps on. Got a pressurized flow of water, so that's the pump being turned on, and that's hot water now as the water system's being on and tested. Towel reel, some reels for hanging some more towels and some toilet roll. Large toiletry cabinet above. But to operate your toilet, what you've got to do is obviously make sure the pump's on because it's fed from the pump for the fresh water. Press this button first, which is your flush. Flush the toilet and put a small amount of water in the bottom of the bowl. And then you want to open it. You don't want to use it yet because it gets the bowl messy. You want to open the blade, which allows everything into the cassette. You can now use the toilet. Once you've finished using the toilet, you give a good flush. You'd spray with some bowl cleaner, or you can dilute some pink if you've bought blue and pink together. Spray, put in an empty spray bottle, spray the bowl, give it a good flush, it'll clean the bowl, give a fragrant smell, and then you want to slide this back to the left. Do it in that order, and then when the cassette indicates that it's full, which it will up here, you can slide it straight out the side of the motorhome and empty it without leaving that open. Because if you do leave that open, the cassette's not going to come out because the mechanism of the blade is still attached and it won't come out the side of the van. Remember, when cleaning any of this white, don't go in with anything too hard, or such as a bleach or anything like that. Go in with soapy water and a light microfiber cloth, because otherwise you can take the whiteness off it and it'll be replaced by a horrible yellow stained shower tray, and you'll need to get it repaired and resprayed by getting a speed coat done. So go in with like a light substance to clean it, nothing too harsh, a mild soapy water just to give it a rinse out once every so often. To operate the Truma Aventa aircon that's fitted to this van, you've got to be hooked up to mains power, as it's a mains unit, so 240 volt. Press the button at this black magic eye and it'll flash red. Then it'll go blue, which means it's turned itself on. You've got your temperature here, so you can adjust it on the cold setting, which is the aircon setting, and the fan. So you've got half a fan, two fans, full speed fan, or you've got mode, and you can either go auto, recirculation, or cooling. And that's all on there. You can set timers, and if you ever get a spanner flashing on your remote, it just means your remote's out of pair. So you just need to press and hold the spanner here until it syncs itself back with the aircon unit, and then you'll be able to turn it on and off. Press a button, it flashes red again, and it'll turn itself off. Top of rear Yavtex telly. There's a power button on the side, so make sure that's pushed in, and you'll get the red light on, which means it's on standby. Use the remote, point it to the red light, and it'll go to blue, which means it's on. And every time you move, you want to retune it. So AQT, big orange button, press and hold, and it'll start its own auto search, and it'll find as many channels as it can in your area. All your reading lights are individually switched underneath the counters at the back lounge, so you just turn them on and off, and same at the front. So the little reading lights, you can turn each individual one on and off. So it depends how many you want on. You might want all of them on, or you might just want one on at a time if you are wild camming to save on 12 volt power wastage. To lock your habitation door from the inside, you just push this catch in, and that's it locked. As soon as you go for the handle, it'll open. This is your rear view camera working, and then as soon as you engage reverse, it'll skip back to the next lens, which is your reversing camera. So you can see more down the back of the van, whereas in the other lens, which is your rear view camera, which is on permanently in any forward gear, you can see more of the far distance. Whereas in reverse, you see the back of the van, and you can get close up against your obstacle that you want to back into.